Tonight on The Breakdown, Sam Kane is at the desk and we'll dig deep into what makes him tick as a player and a captain. And what's with those slow starts by the Chiefs? Also, Tim Mikkelson is poised to become our most capped Sevens player.
You know, these guys are my best mates, and to come and play with them every day and travel the world is something special.
All of that and more tonight on The Breakdown.
G'day, welcome into The Breakdown for another week. I'm Jeff McTainsh. Great to be here off the bench for Goldie tonight, who's down in Queensland playing a wee bit of golf. And a pleasure, as always, to be joined in studio by Sir John Kirwan, Muliaina and Kane Hames. Gents, great to see you. And, of course, we have a very special guest in studio tonight. Looking forward later in the program, Sam Kane, All Black and Chiefs captain. Looking forward to that. You've had a smile on your face all night, and no doubt you had it all of Sunday, all through Monday. Blues getting a great win on the road at Pretoria.
Yeah, fundamental win. And Marshy did give me a bit of ribbing last week, saying, oh, you didn't pick that. But, yeah, no, fundamental for the Blues. They lose that one, it's going to be a tough season. But, yeah, they're in the top 8, I think, Millsy.
Well, it's a huge one, you know, and the way they went about it too, JK, to come back like that. I mean, it's a great chance for them also to go away and really start to come together. Huge game this weekend, though, so I'm looking forward to seeing their progression throughout the in the Republic.
It'll be a heck of a game in Cape Town. Kane, what caught your eye over the weekend, footy-wise, mate?
Well, I guess Highlanders Crusaders is a game I used to love watching growing up. It's a game I loved being a part of as a player, and it didn't disappoint. But Crusaders, too good for the Highlanders, and they're sort of showing their quality again.
Plenty of quality footy over the weekend. If you missed any of it, let's take a look now at our highlights on Sky Sport Super in 60.
In the wet in Pretoria, the Blues scored 3 tries to the Bulls 2.
Terry Black, little cross kick looking for Duffy. Secured, double code international, the try, inside ball.
But in a match that featured 4 yellow cards and 27 penalties, it was Otere Black's boot that stole the win on full time.
Oh, he's raised his hands and over it goes.
Next up for the Blues are the unbeaten Stormers, who are too good at home for the Juarez.
Brilliant play that from the Stormers.
They lead the South African Conference over the Sharks, who scored 5 tries in their win against the Rebels.
And it's been picked up. He'll be the first try, will it? Yes, it will. Mapimpi runs around.
They play the Reds next, whose first win this year was a 10 tries to 1 thrashing of an increasingly hapless Sunwolves side.
Some space now, and this could be an amazing finish too. The first half as Spade puts on the gas, throws it back into James O'Connor. Oh, yeah.
And in the mate against mate match in Christchurch, the Crusaders will be frustrated at the points they missed. But the Highlanders blew more chances.
Puts the kick in. Now, was that the right call?
No, I don't think so.
Who can he link up with? He's got Jack Witt. Another little kick.
And in the end, the Crusaders' class was too much as they dominated in all facets, and most importantly, on the scoreboard.
Yeah, auspicious start for the Highlanders in that one, JK. Looked like they looked pretty likely early on, but 33-13 in the end to the Crusaders. Just one bad half of footy, really, in the super season so far for Razors boys.
Yeah, it was really good a few weeks ago, wasn't it? Talking about, oh, are they in a slump? Yeah, but great game of football against the Chiefs, and they've bounced back really, really well. So, you know, now the Highlanders are under the pump, so...
Yeah, and I think just that, I think, you know, when they lost against the Chiefs, everyone was thinking, oh, wow, they've lost a lot of experience, but all of a sudden you see new players come on board and actually starting to start, and then you on top of that, the performance they had against the Highlanders, you know, they just absorbed all that pressure, and then, you know, when they got the pill, they turned them into points, and that's what you know from the Crusaders. So they're definitely top contenders once again.
And a lot of class, Kane, coming through in the academy system, as always, out of that region. But you'll talk about guys like David Havili, George Bridge. I mean, Havili, top offloader in the comp. The class is there, and it's starting to hit form now. Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of people are starting to think of David Havili as one of the better players in this year's Super Rugby competition, but he was also one of the best players in last year's Super Rugby competition. Fast forward a little bit to the Mako season, and he was an inspirational leader and led them to victory. He's been one of the class guys going around New Zealand rugby for a while, and I hope that the number 15 stays on his back, but I hope the jersey gets a little bit different, gets a bit darker, and hopefully end of the year he's wearing 15 black. Could be the Blues' year, JK. 23-21 over the Bulls in Pretoria. I tell you what, 3 playmakers used by Liam McDonald. Otere Black inside here, Harry Plummer, and then you had obviously Stephen Petafeta at the back. Worked well.
Yeah, I thought it was a huge risk. going into the game. You know, midfield is incredibly hard from a defensive point of view. And no disrespect to first fives, but, you know, they normally don't like tackling that much. A lot comes down that channel. But it worked. I mean, high risk, but it worked. The kicking game was good. Plummer was, you know, pretty good at 12. And they got through it. I mean, it amazes me, Mills, that now if you're first five, how many positions do you have to cover?
Well, it just goes to show, I mean, that there's always been the talk about, you know, the Blues needing a superstar first five. Well, obviously, this is obviously worked for them, having the three of them out there and actually dictating the play. The only downside to that is what the point that you've made is the fact that they probably haven't got that blockbustering runner or the defensive guy at 12 that's going to make all those massive hits and win that game line. So it'll be interesting to see how the Stormers actually try and attack that if they go out with the same team. But certainly from a playmaker role and the direction of the team, it's possibly something that's going to work for them, you know, having three first fives out there.
Yeah, it's interesting because I always wondered, did they know who their first five was? It sort of changed quite a lot. So the easy fix is just chuck them all on. Pedro Feta, he did really well at the back. He looked good when he had a little bit of space. In regards to Harry Plummer playing 12, there's so many 10s that play 12 now. I think we have Farrell, Major, Carter, Josh Ioane, maybe Francois Steyn, who have gone from 10 to 12. There's a ton of them that have, and I guess the game's changed a little bit. 10s used to be scared of tackling. Now they've changed. They can play that second playmaker at 12, move out a little bit and still keep the game flowing.
The interesting discussion for me, Mills, is are we going to see the end of Manonu, Nani Lamape? Are we seeing... I remember talking to the All Blacks about how fast the game is now. And so are you needing someone outside the first five that's looking up, getting a bit more vision into the game? But that, you know, advantage line player we're so used to, is that a thing of the past? I don't know.
Yeah, 5/8 idle at the Blues at the moment under Leon McDonald. But let's... obviously, they play the Stormers next in Cape Town. Very good team indeed at the start of the Super season. Why is it working so well for the team from the Cape, JK?
I think the interesting thing for me is about getting a roll on and getting that confidence. You know, we've talked about the Chiefs and we're talking about the Crusaders, but they both started well, and the Stormers have just started incredibly well. When you do that, and you guys know what it's like, Mills, when you're in a team, Kane, when you're in a team that's actually got a bit of confidence, things just start bouncing for you. And I just think they're on a great roll. They're going to be really hard to beat.
Yeah, well, the things bounce for them early. They're in a really good conference. You know, I've been in a position before where my team has had more points than the Storms, but I'm all of a sudden flying all the way to Cape Town. Beautiful place, don't get me wrong. But to play a team that has less points than me. So the ball bounces their way early in that they're in a really good conference. So I'm unsure if they are the best team. Maybe later on in the rounds, checking round 10, we'll see where they are.
They don't travel until April, really, the big trip over here where they got the Chiefs. So really, you know, they've made the most of their good start. You know, that second round where they were, you know, they kept the ball scoreless, and you know they've just really carried on that momentum and confidence. So if you're looking at it from a starting point of view, this will only carry on better. But I'm looking forward to seeing how they travel once they come over this way.
Light bulb moment. Now, we've had it on the breakdown so far this season. JK, I know you have a light bulb moment and a subtle dig, perhaps, at one Jeff Wilson.
Well, that's right. I mean, Goldie is down representing the breakdown at the New Zealand Open. Make sure you win, mate. Win something at least. But my light bulb moment is that maybe Jeff shouldn't have a light bulb moment because he said the Sunwolves should stay in the tournament. Now, we want the Japanese in, but I don't think we want the Sunwolves anymore. So, nah, not a light bulb moment, Goldie. Think about something else.
And, of course, this was an outstanding performance, wasn't it? James O'Connor, central to it. But the Reds, after a bit of a rough start under Brad Thorne, they really hit stride, didn't they, Mills, against the Sunwolves?
Yeah, and they've been a team, you know, last year they were, you know, bringing new players in, you know, the youngsters, and then they're really starting to now, you know, gel. Obviously, they've been at home, the first real opportunity really for the Sunwolves to travel, so a huge game for them. But you're seeing the likes of O'Connor in that as well, their experience and being able to filter down to some of these young guys, and they're really starting to blossom.
And GK, if you're Brad Thorne, he's had a style, hasn't he? He wants them to play a certain way. The Brad Thorne style of footy, finally, he's getting a wee bit of a reward for that effort. Yeah, well, they've actually been pretty good, the Reds. I spent a week with them in December. Thorny let me sort of come in and have a bit of a watch. And they're actually quality side, and they've had some good results in the first half. In their rugby, they're scoring a ton of tries. I think maybe one of the highest. But where it all goes wrong for them is more defence. And I guess slowly they'll fix that up. And maybe get the results going their way. JK, you shake your head.
Just shaking my
I'm
head.
a big Reds fan now. Go the Reds.
I'm just shaking my head because the Sunwolves are that bad last weekend that you cannot judge the Reds.
I reckon Thorny had you in the gym too, but we'll talk about that another time. Time now to take a look at what has been making headlines around the rugby world with Bernadine Oliver Kirby. Bern.
Thank you, Jeff. Well, the triage wing in the Chiefs camp is getting a little cramped, isn't it? Double whammy for the team today with news that Luke Jacobson's injury will sideline him for another few weeks. How frustrating would that be? He lasted 10 minutes on the park on Saturday before pulling up with that dodgy hammy. Angus Ta'ava's quad injury, that's more serious than first thought as well. He's facing another 8 to 12 weeks recovery, but unclear at this stage if that's with rehab or if in fact an operation is required. Now, it's amazing, isn't it, what you learn from a podcast. Adi Savier's expressed interest in going to rugby league. He says he's 100% committed to playing rugby league and as early as next year. Is he bored? Is it contract negotiation time? JK, you made the switch. I don't think it was for the money back in the day.
Yeah, it probably was because I was a useless league player, but...
Don't know what's your tackle.
No, look, I think players like Adi, it's like anything else. If you want to do something towards the end of their career, you should do it. I mean, the thing that I wasn't left with was what if. So, although I wasn't that great at rugby league, I didn't have what if, you know, when I'm sitting around now. But he's also from the Canes. I mean, they've got a great rugby league tradition from rugby. I mean, Perry Whipper used to go out on a Sunday. Jerry Connors used to go out and play rugby league. So, man, if you want to do it, don't give him a sabbatical in Japan. Give him a sabbatical with the Warriors for 12 months. It'd be awesome.
Ooh, and he's expressed interest in going to Samoa, playing for Samoa. He would qualify.
Rugby league?
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, Bern hanging up the boots. Former All Black Ben Franks, a bit of news out of the UK as well.
Yeah, the older Franks brother. He's calling time on his rugby career, fittingly with Owen, who's also at Northampton Saints. He'll finish up at the end of the premiership. Also, and not so great news, the deadly coronavirus. It's had an impact on the Women's Six Nations competition, with the match between Italy and Scotland in Milan postponed due to the surge of the number of cases of the illness in that area. The match will be rescheduled at a later date. And that virus has also seen the cancellation of a number of Serie A games in Italy. But ready to inflict some real pain, Ireland, as they meet England, the only other unbeaten team to date in the Women's Six Nations. The game this weekend is a sellout at Castle Park in Doncaster, and capacity there, 5,000. That is a lot of bums on seats. How good is that? I doubt, though, there'll be a googlier bouncer bowled in that match. Unlike the men's comp, Eddie Jones unleashing an underarm delivery in the men's comp after his English side.
Yeah,
the Irish.
Absolutely, up to his old tricks. Eddie Jones, we'll take a closer look at what he said shortly. But let's look at the Six Nations, the Guinness Six Nations, and take a look at the results from over the weekend. And a controversial game, really, it was toward the end at least. Wales against France. France winning that one 27 points to 23. And in Italy, not a good day for the Italians. The Scots winning that one 17 points to 0. And yeah, Eddie Jones, Ireland against England. We'll talk about this game shortly in depth, but England winning at 24 points to 12. He said, and I quote, "We played with a lot of control, we read the conditions well, read the referee well, and at half-time, if it was a cricket game, we could have declared." There you go.
Yeah, I mean, for me, he was probably right. I mean, they were very, very good. It's probably the best I've seen them since the World Cup. But he wonders why people throw bottles at him at footy games. I mean, you just don't say that sort of stuff, Eddie. You know, we're good mates, but you're just asking for trouble. But they were very good. I think Ireland have a lot of work to do still. I don't think they've recovered from the World Cup. They weren't that great, but England were good. Now, I don't know what the relationship is really between CJ Stander and Owen Farrell, but he didn't want to let go of him at the end of this ruck. Let's take a look at this. Let's see if we can count how long he's holding on to his pin. What is going on there? CJ's not happy. He's saying, let me go. Let my leg go. Owen's having none of it. He wants to hold on. And then he's complaining to the ref, saying, why is it a penalty? That's not obvious, isn't it, Kane? It's a penalty.
He's English, he's Owen Farrell, he's a pest, but let's not forget he's also a world-class pest, a world-class player.
But is it a penalty?
Is it a penalty? Yes, it definitely is a penalty.
What's it for?
You answer that.
Well, obviously Owen thinks...
Being a pest.
Well, being a pest, but obviously he thinks it is there.
CJ's a would-be defender.
No, he's trying to get away. France-Wales. Now, there was an interesting moment in that game as well. 15 minutes to go, Wales trailing by 11 points. A try could have got them right back into that game. And then this happened. Now, watch, there's a Welsh player on the overlap, but the French lock Willemsen puts his mitt right in there, and you can see here, this looks pretty deliberate, doesn't it? But the referee, Matt Carley, consulted Carl Dixon, his AR, and they decided that it was just a knock-on, where many think maybe that should have been a penalty try, JK, and a yellow card.
Yeah, I think it's totally a penalty try. The interesting thing in that game, if you watch the next scrum, the Welsh ball, the French pushed them off it, and that's sort of the end of the game, so demoralising, although there was still some time to play. But yeah, I mean, the consistency of the refereeing, and the interesting thing about the Six Nations, when you're over there, Mills, it's a great competition, and that happens every week. But if you're in the Super Rugby, that's definitely a yellow card and a penalty try.
Yeah, well, Matt Carley talked about it. He said it's not clear and obvious. And I watched it a good couple of times, and I would tend to agree. I know there's a poll going on at the moment, and it's maybe 50-50, and that shows too. It's not clear and obvious. If it was clear and obvious, it'd be 100% everyone saying yes. So I watched it a good couple of times. It has to be clear and obvious. I don't think it was. I think a good call by Matt Carley.
Now we'll get a chance to ask Glenn Jackson about that one shortly. But look, is that not an obvious swat down of the ball?
Yeah, I'm not
got a man over.
I'm not too sure what Kane's watching there, but if that's not clear and obvious, then jeepers. He's not going actually to wrap his arm around there. That's a slap.
No, I disagree. He's not even looking at the ball either. So he's not looking where his hand's slapping. You see his head's on the other side. He's looking like he's trying to make a tackle, accidentally makes contact with the ball. And if it was on purpose, it's not clear and obvious on that picture we just saw.
But for me, it's quite irrelevant. So if that's game-changing, right? So I think you've got to give the benefit of the doubt to the attacker. So if I hit here and go up to your head, you know, oh, sorry, or someone, like, if you have a look now, when the players are bending down and you hit the head, you still get a yellow card.
Yeah, but in that situation, benefit of the doubt is a penalty try and a yellow card. That's too much for something that isn't clear and obvious.
But it's the game. That's the game.
So this is the game. Let's take a look at the Rugby Pass boys. They've put a poll out on social media, and we'll take a look at what they have said. Was the ref's call fair? Was Matt Carley, obviously consulting Carl Dixon, was it fair? 53% thumbs down reckon that he got that call wrong, and how that could have changed the game. As I said, 11 points adrift. Wales, 15 to go, really could have changed things. Well, we're looking forward to having All Black and Chiefs captain Sam Kane in studio with us after the break. But from one great Waikato man to another, Tim Mikkelson, who will become the most capped New Zealand Sevens player this week. We caught up with him on the breakdown before he headed away with the team to Las Vegas.
Pretty special for me to, I suppose, become the most capped player. When I first came in, I've seen a lot of guys playing a lot of tournaments and doing amazing things in this jersey. I've always, I suppose, tried to replicate that and always looked up to those guys.
Timmy Mickelson's got some of the best qualities going around on the Sevens circuit, and the thing that sort of stands out for me is his durability. For one, he's been doing it at a high level for a very, very long time.
Play for New Zealand for 90 tournaments with the wealth of talent we've had. You know, him and DJ, probably alongside Tomasi Thama, are the three players that everybody sort of in the modern era would recognise as real greats in the team.
He is just terrific, Tim Mikkelson.
He's one of the fittest guys going around as well, so to be able to sustain that for such long periods, I think is a testament to his sacrifice that he's given to his craft, and he's a natural-born leader. I think Timmy, people underestimate that side of his game. It's all about his speed, his fitness, but I think one thing that really stands out for me in terms of quality is how much of a leader he is in that group.
I'm not sure I've met anybody so competitive every day. His willingness to turn up and try and improve every day, try and win every day, huge quality that he has.
I think my approach to the game as you get older and a bit more experience is just trying to keep it as simple as possible. I think when you come in, there's so much to learn, there's so much going on, it takes you a while to get the swing of things. Now, whenever I play, I just write a couple key things down that I'm really going to work on during the week, and then I just try and bring them on the weekend and just try and bring effort to a couple key things. We train here at the Mount 5 days a week, and there's gym every morning and skills, and in the afternoon we have some live sessions and we play against each other 7-on-7, and we just try and build that chemistry and hard work, and there's a lot of fitness in between and a lot of stretching, but being the best thing about living here is just being in the Mount and be able to train every day with your mate and just push each other. There's only 13 guys get to go on tour, but there's over 20 guys training here every day, so it's a good competitive environment to bring the best out of each other.
We have a new benchmark in the world of sevens, and that is New Zealand.
We've had an awesome start to the World Series, making 3 of the 4 finals, and we're at the top of the World Series now, and we've got a big squad here, and hopefully a lot of guys can get an opportunity to put their hand up for the Olympics, you know, but that's 6 tournaments away. We've got LA coming up and that's all we're looking forward to, and hopefully we can go and keep the #1 spot, because, you know, this World Series is all about seedings for the Olympics, and that's our main thing, is to get a good pool for the Olympics.
You know, Timmy's got a few tournaments left in him yet. He's, you know, physically he's not slowing down. Mentally, he's still really sharp around the game and trying to improve. So, you know, who knows how many tournaments he can play in the future.
And Mickelson, with all of his experience, over he goes for his 200th try.
Some of the highlights for me have been the pinnacle tournaments, the Kane games and the World Cups. Winning the World Series is, I suppose, playing 10 years with this group and still being here is just an achievement. You know, these guys are my best mates, and to come and play with them every day and travel the world is something special. But hopefully one day one of the youngsters in the team can overtake my record and I can look back and say I had a little part in trying to inspire them to be better, and that's what it's all about. You know, I inspired from the generation before me, and they made me want to wear this jersey, and hopefully I can make someone else want to do that and break this record.
Welcome back to Breakdown. Well, it was the dream start to Super Rugby for the Chiefs. 3 wins from 3 and heading into a game that on form they should have wrapped up. But we all know what happened in Hamilton on Saturday. A huge handbrake pulled by the Brumbies on the team who, for at least 3 rounds, had the entire competition talking.
Now the Chiefs fans are on their feet again.
The boys are loving it. I got a hunger, I gotta feed my soul. Obviously we enjoy the win tonight, but we know by no means are we the finished product at this stage.
You know, we found out the hard way that if you don't turn up with the right attitude on the night, that any team can beat you. And you know, we just wanted to drive our own high standards this week.
And the drought is broken finally for the Brumbies. 6 long years it's been.
To be honest, we just didn't turn up in the first half. Terrible first half and the amount of turnovers. Conceded the first try every single game.
Learn from this, because we can't have too many more of these this year.
This is a bit of a reality check for us.
How quickly fortunes can change, but what has changed? Let's see what we can isolate in the numbers. Well, it's said that defence wins games, but so do tries, and the Chiefs have clocked up 17 over the 4 rounds. Ironically, the same number as the Brumbies, who rolled them last weekend. Well, where are they getting those points, though? Check out that number. Of the 119 points that they've scored so far this season, 82 of those have come in the second half. Another illustration of how slow those starts are for the Chiefs. Only 2 of their tries have been scored in the opening 20 minutes of the match. Now that is under 12%. So the opening stanza of play, well, it's looking pretty pedestrian, isn't it? Flick it around and let's see where the Chiefs' opposition is scoring tries. Surprise, surprise, 13 tries made against them, almost half, have come in the opening 20 minutes. So let's get a snapshot of their first half versus second half points. They are minus 25 in the first half, so clearly they leak points there. Second half, looking a lot better, isn't it? 57. And hasn't that been the story of the competition so far? Well, the numbers are crystal clear. We know, Gats knows, the team no doubt knows, that starts are the problem. The challenge now, to find out why.
Yeah, it's $1 million question. We sort of talked about it yesterday, but the boys felt they had a good week, and in the warm-up we were, you know, ready to go. But yeah, maybe it's getting a few bullets at half-time. Maybe we might need that before the game, but urgency comes out and we'll start playing. But yeah, we need to fix up that start.
Yeah, it's a good question. We just haven't managed to fire that first shot, whether it's a bit of nerves or a bit of waiting for them to make the move. I'm not too sure, but we're trying to address that this week, and hopefully over the bye week will be good for the Tars.
What's it like to play in that loose trio?
I've always wondered how 3 sevens would go, being traditionally a 7 myself, and when we started at the first 2 games and won them both, so I guess it's exciting, and I mean the other 2 can fulfil other roles as well. So I mean we're going all right, I think, and yeah, we'll see how the season pans out.
So you're telling Gaddy that Lachlan's a 6 and Sam's
Not too sure about that.
First 7, yeah. Haven't played too much there, but yeah, enjoying 6 as well. So just happy wherever we get on the field. Been together for a while now, eh? So it's always good competition. Always learning off each other. Still real good mates off the field, you know.
I mean, that's a blessing in disguise, I think. I mean, the competition's great in sort of any environment. We're learning off each other and we're pushing each other to sort of play to our best. And I think you're seeing that with some of the boys' performances.
Chiefs takeover here on the breakdown at the desk here, and it is a pleasure to welcome into the studio Sam Kane. Sam, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us here on Sky Sport. Look, it's not all doom and gloom, is it? 3 wins, you're 4th on the table, but we talked about the starts. Why do you think they've probably been an issue for you guys this year?
Yeah, cheers for having me. It would have been a wee bit easier coming on the show had we got the result in the weekend, but no, here we are. Yeah, look, it is hard to pinpoint. The obvious thing we could look at is maybe something we're doing in our warm-up or just prior to getting out on the field. Maybe the last final words I'm saying to the team aren't that motivational. I need to
yeah, I
maybe look at myself.
I think there's, for me, looking at it, really high-profile coach comes in after the, in the off-season, got a really solid squad, and you're leading the competition and you're playing incredibly well. So it's a little bit, Mills, like when you're in the All Blacks. You know that every team is really coming at you for the first 25 minutes. So, you've got to weather that storm, and you have been. I know we can talk about the stats, but at the end of the day, maybe it's just that little bit of winning, but a bit of psychology as well. They're coming. Everyone's coming for you, I don't know if you feel that intensity is a little bit different.
Yeah, we probably, it's not a nice thing to admit that maybe we got a wee bit complacent leading into that game in the weekend, particularly knowing we had the bye coming up. We blocked out those first 4 games and we thought this is the final hurdle. Let's get over this and enjoy the down week. But yeah, that's a lesson that hopefully we can take on board for the rest of the season and ensure that games where we're getting talked up or those sort of things, we've got to push those to one side and just take care of business.
Yeah, Sam, it's interesting. I coached the Nelson College under-16 team last year, and sometimes if a bigger team would turn up, they'd sort of look and go, just how good are these guys? And the first 20 minutes was a bit of a reading phase where they would sort of see, well, these big boys, do they carry as hard as they look like they're going to? Is that sort of the case maybe with the Chiefs at the moment, that you're probably reading, you're trying to sort of see what they're doing and then adapt to it? Because we know that you guys are good at adapting. Second half, you're a completely different team. But the Crusaders, they're good, so you're trying to read a little bit. The Blues beat you in pre-season, so were you trying to sort of feel them out a little bit? Could that sort of be the case of what's happening, or am I just way off and just stick to under-16s?
Nah, I think you're way off, Kane. Look, we're only 4 rounds in, and I know that the stats aren't pretty, but a lot of that is probably from the weekend. If we took the 3 previous games, there won't be a heck of a lot in it. So, look, we're not getting too carried away by it. Absolutely, we want to get it right. But we're 4 weeks in. If we sat back at the start of the year and said we had 3 from 4 leading into the first bye, we'd take it. It's funny how expectations change when you get the first 3. But look, we'll work hard to get that start right. And like you said, JK, when you're going well, teams know you have to be at your best to beat you, and you've got to come out firing, and that's probably where we've just been just off.
What about the Gats rack up, Sam? What was that like at half time?
Did it look pretty animated? Yeah. It wasn't too bad, mate. He's not afraid to show a wee bit of emotion, but there's a lot of detail, and he's very much solution-based with what he's saying. So,
how has he been? Like, he seems really relaxed. And I know it's not panic stations yet. Touch on what you just talked about, but often you sort of just one little wee thing all of a sudden will kick the guys into gear. Like, I remember having Silavini Sivivatu, and we would see him sleeping on the bus, and we were thinking, man, he's not up for the game. But that's what clicked for him. But in terms of Gats, he sort of brings it all together, and the team just seems to be in some sort of harmony at the moment. How's his influence been since coming back to the Chiefs environment?
It's been great, and there's been, obviously, with any new coach and players, there's like that sort of feeling out process where you're learning a wee bit about each other, what works for individuals and how he likes to coach. But he's been really good, and the last couple of weeks we're starting to realise that we can have a wee jab at him and take the mickey every now and then. He likes it and throws it back. So things like this,
Now I'm laughing Sam, because in the old days, and Gats is as old as me, so we used to, when that happened on the weekend, we'd know there was a flogging coming on Monday or Tuesday. So Gats is a bit old school, is one of the solutions is giving the boys a good old flogging, making them work hard. Has that happened?
Look, we've got the bye obviously this week, but the boys are in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and yeah, by all accounts, the boys worked pretty hard today in the Hamilton Heat.
Yes, good old flogging, Millsy, remember those?
You, mate?
Yeah, well, how about on the weekend with the Brumbies? You sort of probably did all your work on them and they turned up with a different picture. We know the Brumbies maul a lot and then they didn't. They sort of created some space. If you chuck another couple of Chiefs players in, obviously there's space other places, which it looks like they took. How surprised were you by the Brumbies' change of game plan?
Yeah, I've got to be honest, we were a wee bit. If we previewed them the previous week and, all their points, all their tries came through driving maul against the Highlanders, and it's a real weapon. And we did a lot of work on that as a 4-pack. Expected them to come there, and credit to them, they'd done some homework on us and surprised us and got on the edge early twice. So that hurt, but that's the thing with defence, man. You've got to be on in all areas, all opportunities, all aware. So like I said, we'll learn from this lesson. I know everyone says that after a loss, and it sucks to have to lose to learn some things, but we'll be better for it.
Sam, I want to change the subject. Let's get rid of it. Let's stop talking about it. You're probably sick of talking about it already.
Yeah, good work.
want to flush it as Steve got in trouble about. Want to talk about you. Mills and I have been talking, and Kane in the green room about, wow, if you're a first 5 now, you can play 12, you've got to play 15. But also the loose forwards now are starting to cover 6, 7 and 8. I mean, how hard is that for you, being one of the best players in the world? What do you need to do during the week to say, Gats taps you on the shoulder, says, mate, you're playing 8 this week or 6? I mean, how does that change your week?
Well, there's a few different subtle skill sets with different positional changes, whether it's, loose forwards or midfield backs, I think. Not that I know about the midfielders, but... like trapping the ball at the back of the scrum, these little things. So you've normally got your weekly structure about what you want to work on, what's key to getting your game right as an open side flanker. And then there's a few subtle changes, which in some ways is pretty energising too, because it's doing something different. It's a new challenge, but a little bit more at home on the side.
Yeah, and I mean the whole psychological game. I mean, I felt so uncomfortable on the left wing. So that's giving you energy, thinking, I've got a bit more of a, it's going to be different this week. I've got a new challenge. So those things are good sometimes?
Yeah, sometimes. But like you said, because you're learning and you're sometimes thinking a wee bit more, then your instincts might not be quite as sharp. But look, often positional changes come about trying to put the best players on the park in the coach's eyes and getting whether they're slightly out of position or not. So it's one of those cases of what's best for the team, and it's just nice to be out there too.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that being a bit of a target, Sam? Obviously it's the Brumbies turn up, you're on the team list on the other sheet, so they will take a close look at you. Do you feel that extra pressure when you're out there playing?
In what regard?
In terms of the Brumbies really targeting you, trying to shut what you're doing down on the park?
No more than any other side. I mean, everyone goes out there to try and target certain players, and that are key to different teams' games. So, the Brumbies did it well, and no crimes.
Rightio, let's take a look, a bit of a closer look really at this game with our experts panellist Glenn Jackson, of course. He's blown the whistle a few times, and I'm sure something piqued your interest in that game, Glenn.
Yeah, it did. Thanks very much. What we were looking at tonight is how the Brumbies actually beat the Chiefs. For me, the Chiefs this year have been fantastic as their loose forward trio in getting turnovers. In this game, they only created 4 turnovers. If we look at Sam Kane here, this is what the Chiefs do extremely well. A double-man tackle, straight to the deck, Sam Kane over the ball, penalty. Great Chiefs play, what's been happening all year. Unfortunately, that was the 54th minute. What we want to look at is actually some great coaching, I believe, from the Brumbies coaches here. They sucked in the Chiefs forwards thinking they were going to get these turnovers. All day long, the Brumbies box kicked this in previous seasons, but they've had a go here, and this is something that Brumbies don't often do. And if we play on here, we can see the loose forward trios of the Chiefs have been caught very tight, and the Brumbies are playing from their own 22. This is fantastic work from the coaches and the players to believe in it. They get an offload, which happened a lot in this first half, and got through the defensive line. If we look at another one here, same again, the Chiefs pack are real tight here. They're thinking the Brumbies are going to carry. That's what they do in rugby. Again, a little circle ball out the back here, and we see the space in between Cruden and the next defender there. Another little in behind, Sam Kane, very tough to get back for this turnover. We play on, Kirwan now has got plenty of room. Again, inside their own half. This doesn't happen a lot from the Brumbies normally. The greatest play I want to look at from the Brumbies is 99 out of 100 times from this line out, they drive. And I think we all know that, we just heard it from Sam there, they expected driving. The Chiefs' backs are on their heels, expecting the drive as well. If we play on here, this back move isn't actually that flash from the Brumbies. But what they created is the Chiefs thought this was going to be a drive. These passes aren't flash, but the defensive line of the Chiefs just wasn't up to it. And in the end, it was a try. So I think there's a lot of credit that has to go to the Brumbies coaching staff and how they thought this game would work. Did it feel like that at all, Sam?
Yeah, as I said earlier, like we expected them to come through that drive, and credit to them. Those first couple plays out the back, you alluded they weren't that flash. I think we just come 1 or 2 metres faster and we shut that ball down, probably second or third hands in. But like I said, we'll be better for it.
Yeah, I think for me, Millsy, you've played in Italy, and a lot of Italians don't know rugby, and the Italians would say to me, "How can you explain it?" I said, "Well, it's like chess with contact, you know." And I think the great thing about the weekend is, and as a rugby player, the satisfying thing is you probably won the second half, so you go away and adjust to it, Millsy. You know how hard it is sometimes. They surprise. And let's not take anything away from the Brumbies. The whole Australian conference is getting a hammering from us as well, but they were very good on the weekend, Mills.
Yeah, and that's probably the hardest thing. And I think, you know, when you look at the way it was sort of panning out, you know, often when you've been there as a player, and we all have been there before, you're thinking, oh man, we've gone in with this game plan, it's not working. At what stage now, what do we actually try and change? Who do we come to get? Who comes together? And I know some of the guys came together, some of your leadership group, and actually start to try and win different moments back. And you gradually got to got a couple of tries and won those moments back. But it was probably a little bit too late. But certainly from when you're looking at it, you think, I suppose for you as a captain, and all these other things going on, when do you actually sit there and go, okay, well, man, flag this game plan now, we've got to get the game back, and how do we win that game back? And is that a message you give to the likes of Cruds and things like that?
Yeah, for us, I don't feel that, we didn't feel the issue was so much the game plan, it was so many individual errors. I think, particularly in that first half, we probably made more individual errors than we had the whole competition. So between that and some poor discipline in that first half, I think we gave away about 5 or 6 sort of back-to-back penalties, which hurt us. Second half, we cut those out, but still continued some of those handling errors, inability to hold on to the ball. So, look, when we did for that 15, 20 minutes, just after half-time, we looked good. But then at crucial times in that last 20 minutes, the Brumbies were able to snaffle ball at key times and, take the sting out of us.
Yeah, it's interesting because you said just a little bit ago that if you were 2 or 3 metres closer to them, then you probably could have shut a couple of those things down. And I was real impressed with the way that Brumbies play. They played off 9 quite a lot and sort of off 9, so your line speed is not so much a factor. They're sort of carrying into same as semi-final All Blacks versus England. Sorry to bring that one up as well, Sam. And I sort of felt that it blunted your line speed quite well. But for senior players like you, it doesn't, because you've gone through this before. So you can see in a lot of those clips that Glenn showed, you're getting off the line, but then other players behind you aren't. And that's sort of what it ended up creating. I felt a little bit in the end of the game where it just created a lot of sort of mismatches between the players and you're leading the boys somewhat in behind. And I just feel that's where the Brumbies probably won it in that first half. I don't know what you think. Was that probably a bit of a case there where they blunted your guys' line speed?
I thought we were stopping talking about this. Yeah. Kane, I thought that the Brumbies were really good at moving the ball. Like off 9, that pod, they were often doing little tips, throwing it out the back, getting their young 10 involved, and he was running lines. So there's a lot of ball movement. And with that, if you're not 100% sure of who you're on, it can negate that line speed a wee bit. So, I just thought their skills and the way they moved the ball affected our ability to come up hard.
Sam, what do you made of the competition in 2020? There's obviously a lot of talk about the relevance of Super Rugby now that's maybe a bit tired, crowd numbers, that type of thing, but we're seeing a strong Australian team in the Brumbies, we're seeing good teams out of Africa and some good performances across the board in New Zealand. So your crowd's been good too. What have you made of the Super Rugby season so far?
Look, I think the 7 o'clock or 7:05 kickoffs has been a real positive shift. Really enjoying that from a player's point of view, but also I think the fans are enjoying it too. Just a slightly more friendlier time. I think the other thing we can do is, you know, in the media and just in general, stop talking the comp down. You know, talk about the positives and those things you just alluded to, how good it's going, and feed off that rather than focusing on the couple of things that aren't quite right.
How are you finding the early start to the season? The year just seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger. You've got a chocker year of footy in front of you. So, you know, what do you make of that slightly earlier start in terms of your workload?
Look, you just got to trust that you'll be managed well. So far, so good. We've had, feels like the season's hardly kicked off for some of us with these buys and rest weeks. But look, it's just the way it is. I know next year kick-off's pretty much a month later. So that's just, you know, the changes in the game. And we've got to adapt as players. I think off-seasons aren't really as big as they once were. And when I say off-season, it's not having time off. It's you know, time away from the rugby environment, but you're still training, you're running and gymming.
That's still key, though. I mean, you've got the bye week now. I mean, it's not a bye week where everyone gets to just go away and have the complete week off, is it? It's like, you actually still got to maintain that sort of fitness and you actually come together for a couple of days as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. And sometimes looking at it more than maintaining, looking at it as a good opportunity to get some good running load in that you can't necessarily get in with a game on Saturday. Maybe you need to get a bit more gym work in so you can smash some out that week, you know, purely based on the individual.
Sam, I'm really interested in, so 145 odd rucks in a game of rugby. You're one of the best at the world at seeing those pictures, making a decision on when to go to a turnover. I mean, about 5 years ago it changed where you'd have a crack at everything, but, you know, you can't practice impact that much. So how are you seeing those pictures sort of during the week? How do you train yourself to know when to have a crack and when not to, when it's such an important part of the game?
Yeah, you saw Lachlan and Mitch Karpik on the screen earlier. We try and do things, replicate them, but with lower intensity, just like with not quite the impact, but practicing good technique, getting in there quickly, you know, get a few hit shields so it's not shoulder on shoulder. We do a wee bit of work at the Chiefs on like gym mats, so the impact when you hit the ground isn't as hard. Have been finding that quite helpful.
And then, I mean, the speed of this game now, and then when you're on the field, is it just becoming like an instinct? You're going, I've seen the picture, and you just have a crack and trust yourself?
Yeah, you have to go out there and trust yourself 100%, and sometimes, you know, you definitely get them wrong. I've even found from the first game to the second, you know, just getting back playing rugby, because it's such minute timings, That's subtle differences between getting it right and getting it wrong. So a little bit more time in the saddle and keep getting better.
Well, it's been great seeing you get stuck in this year, Sam. Let's take a look back at where it all began. We'll jog your memory here on Sky Sport. This is Sam Kane making his debut back in Super Rugby.
So Sam Kane, not named in the original Chiefs squad, onto the field.
And it is a big night for young 19-year-old Sam Kane as he makes his first start in Super Rugby. He's come off the bench a couple of times, but it's a big call for a man who's only made one start to date in the ITM Cup.
He's played very well in his first real big start. He's been exceptional. His work rate's been fantastic.
What a great moment for young Sam Kane as he makes it onto the park for the first time in an all-black jersey. Oh boy!
And he's been working very physically and hard at the breakdowns. He's been challenging all the time. And look at the power Kane. Does not want to be put on the ground.
Offloads beautifully. Kane's got it! He's got it! And Sam Kane, what a brilliant try!
Yes, welcome back into the breakdown. What a career already for Sam Kane, and it is an absolute pleasure to have him in studio with us tonight. Sam, I mean, it's been a hell of a last 12 months for you, really, to come back into Super this year, the stuff you've been through with your injury and whatnot. How difficult was that time for you, and during it, how much have you changed as a rugby player and also as a person?
Yeah, it was a pretty challenging time. It was funny, when I got diagnosed or got told that I'd fractured my neck, rugby sort of just goes through my mind. It's all about, am I going to be all right? Am I going to be able to live a normal life? So, and then I was almost too scared to ask I was too scared for a couple of days to ask whether I'd be able to play rugby again, in case I didn't like the answer. But yeah, it was a long road back, but you know, I think it showed me that I've got enough things going on in the rest of my life that rugby doesn't define me, I suppose. I definitely missed it, and it was 4 months of no exercise whatsoever, it's been a long time. Never really. So, and then to sort of build your body back up to get out there and play some rugby, it was a good refresher as well. So, and a good challenge. So.
But being a professional athlete, having played a heck of a lot of rugby, for that to happen, how difficult is it to then go, OK, I've got to get back in condition, I've got to get back out on the park to go through that process?
It was more just about setting little goals, in terms of coming back through your gym and fitness and all your rugby skills, and then really enjoying the process of overcoming those and achieving those little goals step by step, right up until the stage that you get back out on the field.
Sam, for me, seeing that fresh-faced boy at 19, now one of our leaders in the All Blacks, had big shoes to fill coming after Richie, nailed that. How are you enjoying the leadership role, and is there stuff that you want to work on in leadership that's at the front of your mind moving into new challenges for the season?
Yeah, it's something that I've always enjoyed, the dynamics of a team and how to get the best out of the team, how to get the best out of myself. I suppose it's just that mindset of like, how can we do this better, or what can we tweak to help? So no doubt, yeah, I'm certainly enjoying it, and the older I've got, the more comfortable I am with my own leadership style, more comfortable I am leaning on other players for advice and help. Because I think that's a big part of it too, not trying to know everything, being vulnerable and, I don't know the answers here, do you? Things like that.
So, I mean, the game and the positional play of the Lucies has come a heck of a long way. I mean, you look at when you first started, even your looks have come a hell of a long way, mate. But in terms of the physicality, I mean, we often see, flankers, back then was always sort of the feature. At what stage did you start saying, man, I'm going to start, pelting guys back? Because certainly on the end of your tour, I think a couple of years ago, you were just hammering guys. So the defensive game in your artillery was just huge. When did that start coming into the fold?
Yeah, I'd always enjoyed tackling and always enjoyed, making low tackles. But it was probably, when I got to the age of about 22, 23, and a lot of my feedback from the coaches was, we want you to be more physical. So I had to look at ways like, how can I be more physical? And through the tackle, through the clean-out, there's opportunities to be physical. So looking at ways to do that, and then, hours and hours of practicing good technique to try and get weight through the tackle. And you've also got to develop that mindset a little bit too of like, I want to go and dominate this guy, I want to smash this guy.
Yeah, Sam, touching on leadership, I always found you quite exceptional talking to the boys in the huddle. You didn't really speak in cliches, and your eye contact was always pretty good. I know that sounds a bit silly, but your eye contact normally connected everyone to the message and put the onus on them. I've always been interested, where did you learn it from?
Good feedback, Kane. Cheers, mate. Look, I'm not sure where I've learnt that from. You'd have to assume you pick up little bits from different leaders throughout the way. Mills was my first leader,
hell of a leader,
Chiefs captain when I made that debut as a 19-year-old. Didn't pick up much from him, but... Look, when I'm in a huddle like that, I'm just literally trying to speak from the heart, mate. Like, it's not really too much predetermined. It's like how I feel, and it's cool moments when you're in a huddle with a group of men like that, ready to go and do something cool together. So, nothing too special.
There you go, Mills thrown under the bus. Right, let's go to Bernie, who has the burning questions, the big ask, courtesy of the Rugby Pass. Burn.
Yeah, plenty of questions filtering in, knowing that Sam Kane's going to be on the show tonight. Great to have you here, Sam. One of the big questions is, who was the toughest player that you've ever played against? Funny you should mention Mills. It's definitely not the clown to your left, is it?
Toughest player I've played against. This is a classic question that gets asked, but...
You won't offend anybody.
No, probably it's easier to think of some of the tougher players that you've played with, because you're side by side with them a lot of the time, and you get to see you know, how they go about their work. And I'd have to say Tawara Kurbalo and Augustine Pulu are two of the toughest
competitive halfbacks.
Competitive and so tough. You know, they've had injuries where, you know, the normal person would hardly be able to stand up or complete their job, and they're out there. Yeah, a little couple of halfbacks.
Oh, giving the back some love. That's a big call, isn't it? Next question is, what's your cheat food? We've all got one. Surely you've got one.
Cheat food. Look,
not cheap, cheat.
Yeah.
Bill's all about the cheap food. I'm
more about just chipping away during the week. You know, a few bits of chocolate here and there. A few chips. I like potato chips. But it was before the show, eh? JK was talking about his biggest problem is opening a bottle of wine.
Exactly. It's like a packet of chips.
So the liquid lunch, right.
Nice.
I'm not saying that's my cheat meal.
That's my cheat. Yeah.
Hey, and as a Chiefs girl, Chiefs fan, good luck. You got this.
Thank you.
Just really quickly, Sam, All Blacks captaincy, something you'd want to put your hand up for going forward?
Yeah, look, it's obviously a bit of discussion around it, and realistically there might be, you know, maybe two, myself, Sam Whitelock, and there might be a few others in the mix from the All Blacks leadership group who are still there. So, look, if it came about, then it would be obviously a massive honour. It's not really something as a kid you go up dreaming about. You dream of being an All Black, but it's a special group of men. If the opportunity came to lead them, then yeah, I'd take it with both hands.
Well, Sam, we appreciate you coming on this week. Thanks for your time. Enjoy the bye. JK, Mills, Kane, as always, pleasure, gents. Jacko, thanks for your time too. Kick-off crew Thursday, Kirsty Stanway, looking forward to the show Thursday night. Enjoy the week ahead, Super Rugby this weekend. That's all from us on The Breakdown. Good night.